And hello, car lovers, and welcome to the CNC Auto Show, and I am Aaron Clements.
I'm John Ryan.
And we are both here because we would absolutely love to give you information on ways to make your car, truck, or SUV safer, and to make it more dependable, and to make it last longer for less money and less hassle. We love to take your phone calls, 706-863-5800. That's on Saturday mornings, 8:05 to 10 Eastern Time. And at that time, you can catch us live on iHeartRadio, WGAC 95.1 FM, and watch us live on Facebook at CNC Auto Show. And we do invite you to join us and have your phone nearby so you can call in. If you are a friend or looking for a good, dependable auto repair facility, I recommend going to NapaAutoCare.com. Wonderful site, got a lot of information on it, but one of the things it has is a little search box in the top right-hand corner to where you can just punch in your location.
Yep.
And it will give you a list of automotive repair facilities in your area that are Napa Auto Care centers. And there are a lot of really good people on that list. And John Ryan, we have a theme today.
Yeah, we do.
Okay, and that would be
Common engine breakdowns.
Common breakdowns.
Oh,
period.
that's right,
Yeah,
that's right,
it could be more than the engine.
That's
I mean,
right.
it could be all sorts of things can break down.
That's true.
But if we thought it might be good to put a list together of things that people normally break down for,
Right.
Because if they know that, then they know how to prevent that.
They do, yeah.
And that's what it's all about. So we invite you to call if you may have a tip also on things that can be done to prevent breakdowns. So don't hesitate to join in, share those tips with others. So let's buckle those seatbelts and get started. Where are we going?
All right, let's go over to Barry, Aaron.
Perfect. Hey, Barry, welcome to the CNC Auto Show, and what can we help you with today?
Thank you, sir, to take my call. I have a 97 minivan, 3.3 engine.
Mm-hmm.
It was skipping, so I changed the wires and the plugs. Of course, doing that, you got to take the throttle body out and move it to the side.
Mm-hmm.
And I put it all back together, and it does not skip anymore. But the RPM just in park, it's up to 3,000. Of course, you put in drive, it's down to 15,000.
It seems like whenever you work on a car, there's always a but.
Yeah, there is.
There's always a but in there. It did good, but.
Yep, that's right.
Yes.
We run into that too, Barry, so don't feel like
don't
you're
feel
by
bad.
yourself.
Don't feel bad at all. Barry, did it do it before the repair? As far as
No, sir. It was skipping so bad.
Right.
And yes, and that took care of that.
Okay.
But, like I said, this RPM 3,000.
And with the engine off and you go out there and pop the hood, is the cables that go to the throttle body real loose, or are they very tight?
I had to take it off when I put it back on, and it snapped in, and then the little hook went around the hook.
Right. And you feel like they're in their like resting position. It doesn't seem like as if the throttle cable's pulling open the throttle body or anything like that?
Yes, so that looks fine too.
Okay, that looks fine. And then as
But
far
I'm gonna double check all that again.
yeah, definitely double check that. You should be able to reach over there and pull those cables up just enough to say that they're loose, of
A little
course.
slack on
Yeah,
it.
just a little bit of slack. And of course you could look at the throttle body and see if it's open also. The only other thing I could think of is the idle air control valve. No check engine lights are on or anything like that now?
No, sir.
Okay. Yeah, normally those would set a check engine light.
John Ryan, is there any chance that he may have a gasket maybe on the throttle body?
It's definitely a possibility. The throttle body gasket, we've seen them put on backwards too.
Uh-huh.
And the idle passage, is now restricted. So that could be possible. Barry, did you replace the throttle body gasket or did you reuse the old one?
I reuse the old one.
Okay. And you feel like it's in the right, orientation and everything?
Well, I hope it was.
Barry, it sounds like, just like John Ryan mentioned, one of two things is going on. Either that throttle body is binding in the open position, which, like he mentioned, you can just pull the little cover, the front of the tube off and look and see if it's closed all the way. If it's not closed, that's where your problem is.
Don't force it closed.
Yeah,
though,
now a
if it's not.
technician would be able to hook a meter up and say, yeah, we got 2 volts on the throttle position sensor,
Indicating
so it's
open,
stuck open, and that's fault. But we're trying to come up with some ideas on how to tell you where you'd be able to find it yourself. And
Yes, sir.
so just look in there and see if it looks like it's binding open and feeling those cables. Make sure there's slack in there also.
Right.
And then after that, I leaned myself toward one or two things. John Ryan mentioned the idle air control valve.
Right.
Either maybe a gasket not right on it or a gasket not right on that throttle body. But one of those two is going to be bad if it's not binding, if that throttle body's not stuck open.
Yeah, I
somewhere.
really hope it's just as simple as the cable.
Yeah,
being
the
pulled
end
on
of
it just a
cable
little bit.
could be binding somewhere and stuck somewhere. You may have, when you were moving everything, bent the cable in a way to where it kind
Barry,
of made
does
it
that
stick.
does that vehicle have cruise control also, where there are two cables going to it?
Yes, sir.
And
Yes,
you feel
sir.
like you have those in the right. You don't have the cruise on the throttle side and the cruise on the opposite side. You know, those cables have a right orientation, which way they go on too.
Yes, sir. I'll double check that. You know how it is.
Barry,
You get
how
a
long do you
little-
think? How long do you think it would take you to check all this? We're just wondering if there's any chance that you could report back to us before the end of the show. I'm
Yes, sir.
interested.
Yes, sir.
You could?
I can do that.
Man,
sir.
fantastic. Well, that'd be great. If you would run out there and check that and call back and let us know what you found, because that'd be very interesting to know. Now, I know you won't have
Yeah.
time to pull the throttle body off, but you would at least have time to see if it's binding in any way or things like that.
Yes, I'll check the cables and the connectors. Yeah.
Oh,
I
and
can do
Barry,
that.
Barry, one last thing. If you're suspecting the cables, just take them off and crank it up and see if it idles. You know, just disconnect them from the throttle body, because the idle
Yes,
air
sir.
control valve will electronically allow that vehicle to idle. It doesn't need the cables to idle.
Okay. Thank you. That's a good idea.
All right, you let us know.
Hey,
All right,
thank you.
sir.
Thank
All
you for a great call, Barry. Okay, the number to call is 706-863-5800. That's 8:05 to 10 Eastern Time. Where we're going, John Ryan?
And we got a few minutes left. Let's put Eddie on the line. We may have to put him on hold over the break.
No, I believe we can do it.
All right.
Either way, though, we're good. Eddie, welcome to the CNC Auto Show, and what can we help you with today?
Well, I've got a 93 Nissan pickup with a 2400 four-cylinder in it. It's got 163,000 on it, but I'm having trouble with my idle. It will idle up around 12, 13, sometimes 1,400 RPMs.
Mm-hmm.
And as soon as you pull it in drive, it drops down to about 7, like it's supposed to. But most of the time, it'll run that idle speed. Now, then sometimes you can be sitting there with it on idle, and all of a sudden it'll drop down to about 800, 900 on its own, where you haven't done anything. But then maybe the next time that you crank it up, it'll be up there around 12, 13, 1,400 RPMs, and that's where it stays at during just idle.
Eddie, would you say it normally does that problem more so cold than hot?
No,
It's just kind of
it can be
all-
hot and do it all the time.
I'll tell you what I'm thinking. I think it's going to give Aaron like war flashbacks of working on those things. Do you remember the actual wax
Yeah,
idle
I
stepper?
was thinking on that.
Eddie, that would be my first guess. They have a idle stepper that when it's cold, it actually just pushes the throttle open just a little bit more than normal. It's kind of an early stage of the idle control as far as being electronically controlled. And what it does is when it's cold, it just pushes the throttle open just a little bit more than base idle. And as the engine warms up, that wax becomes soft and it actually releases itself to where it would run on normal idle. What can happen is those things can stick, and then of course it's going to be a higher idle than normal. That's the first thing that I can
That
think
wasn't
of.
Nissan's best idea they've
No,
ever had.
but you know what's crazy? They used it for a long
I
time.
know they did.
They really did. They used it for a long
I
time.
never
what
did
what
like
does
it,
look
though.
like on? what does
It
look
looks like
on the
a
throttle?
very small can. I don't. Eddie, let's put you on hold so we can
Sure,
answer
sure,
that
no
question.
problem, no problem.
All right.
Yeah, we're going to take a real quick break, and when we return, we'll be talking more with Eddie with his 93 Nissan pickup truck, and also we'll be talking a little bit about common things that cause cars to break down. That and a lot more as soon as we return to the CNC Auto Show. We are back with you on the CNC Auto Show. John Ryan, what do you think one of the more common items that a car's towed in for?
Oh, that's towed in. Definitely batteries.
Yeah.
Yeah, for sure.
Batteries are big. I mean, big. And
A lot of people push them to their limits.
yeah. You know the bad part when I'm mentioning this, it's going to ruin our towing service.
Yeah.
Yeah, we're going
That's
to be
true.
we're gonna be towing in less cars
Yep.
because everybody's gonna say, "Wow, my battery's 5 years old."
It's kind of like the old transmission service.
Yeah.
Doing a fluid
Yeah.
exchange, we don't see as much as we used to.
Yeah, we used to do a lot of major transmission work. We'd replace them all the time.
Yep.
Now we do these transmission flushes, and our major transmission work has gone down
Yep.
a huge amount. So there's side effects to all this, John Ryan.
There is.
But yeah, if your battery's over 4 or 5 years old, consider it very, very suspect. It's not going to get any better, that's
No,
for sure.
it's not.
So go ahead and consider replacing it. If it's 3 years old, I'd have it checked and
Right.
and find out how it's checking out. Where we're going? Oh, we need to go back to Eddie.
That's right. We're going back to Eddie.
Hey, Eddie, welcome back to the CNC Auto Show, and you were telling us about your high idle condition.
Yeah, yes.
Eddie, you were curious
It
as
does.
far as what it looks like?
Well, that too, and I did want to mention it does have a mechanical screw that will adjust part of a little bit of the idle, and I have got it backed all the way out to where it's not touching the throttle plate.
Okay, that may be the hard stop that you're looking at. There should be another one
Yeah.
on the other side.
That's what I was thinking. There was one for that fast idle also.
Right, yeah, there's one for the fast idle too. And 93, I'll be honest, that's really when they started putting IACs on it. So I'm really hoping this one has the wax thing. It should have another one that's on the other side of the throttle body, and it, of course, would connect to the linkage. And it actually, it's hard to describe, really. It's probably about the diameter of like a $50. And it has I think it's an 8mm head on it. If I
Yep.
remember right, it might be quarter
That
inch.
sounds right.
And of course it comes out, and you'll see it's almost like a linkage that you can tell that would push in and out, and it just barely, within 1/8 of an inch pushes on the throttle body linkage so that it opens it up just enough to have that fast idle.
Yeah. If you see another adjusting screw on that other side, Eddie, back it off, but measure how much, like turn it maybe a half a turn,
Yeah.
and see if that idle
Okay.
goes down. And
Well,
if
the
it
most
does-
important thing is see if it's touching the linkage first.
Yeah, and see if it's
If
touching
it's not
the
touching
linkage.
the linkage, of course,
It
it's
won't
not
do
the
any-
problem, right?
Won't do any good. Now the other
Is there
thing,
something-
the other thing that can cause that, of course, has to do with a vacuum leak.
Right.
And you can normally tell that by just taking some propane. Some people use carburetor spray, but some carburetor sprays work and some don't.
Right.
But you can just move it around in other areas and see if it affects the idle in some ways. But you're really not describing a vacuum leak type situation. It sounds more like just a high fast idle
Right.
linkage.
Yeah, I know on all of this stuff, even the later models that I have, they'll be fast idle when you first crank them up, but then they gradually slow down
Slow
as
down,
the engine
yeah.
warms up.
Right.
But this one here it'll be idled up at cold, and it's just never go back down.
Right.
So
That's why I think that wax idle adjuster is stuck out in the out position. We used to see that on all those 240s and the 300s and all that. It was pretty common.
Whoever thought that they'd put wax to adjust the fast idle, though?
Nissan.
Yeah.
Would that be something you can buy at a parts store, or is that going to be something that
Yeah,
it
it should. Napa should be able to track that down for you. Being 93, that should be in stock and everything. It was quite a common issue on those vehicles, so they're probably still around.
Okay. Well, I will look into that today and see what I can come up with.
All right, hope that helps.
Okay, I appreciate it very much. Thank you.
Thanks.
Eddie, great call. Thank you. And the number to call is 706-863-5800. John Ryan, what happens that people get stranded on their cars? Another item that's fairly common.
I don't know.
That would be
locked out of cars.
That would be something that it's embarrassing when it happens, but to get locked out of your car.
Yeah, you do that a lot.
No, I don't. I very seldom do that now. That's very rare for me.
Yeah.
But of course it does happen, and it's it can be very tricky, especially if someone loses their keys, because some
big time.
vehicles now have the pre-programmed type system, and if you don't have a spare key to go get another one made, you will be going through a pretty good little hassle
Right.
getting another one.
You're out of luck then.
You want to hang on to your keys. That's just
sure.
in short. Where we're going?
All right, let's go to Ron.
Hey, Ron, welcome to the CNC Auto Show, and what can we help you with today?
Oh, thank you, guys. Too, when I clean out my throttle body occasionally, when it starts sticking, it's gummed up. Well, I use that alcohol blended gas too much, and it'll start to gum up and stick, and I'll clean it with appropriate throttle body cleaner.
Mm-hmm.
Right.
Now, some people, now, if you got to be careful. Don't use a carburetor cleaner because you could actually damage your sensors inside that throttle
And some
body.
of them have a little coating, like a
Right,
Teflon type
right.
coating, and also adding to that, you want to use a very soft rag. You don't want to use just a real bristly type rag.
Exactly. And usually that clears my problem up from it sticking. All right. Guys, I got a 97 F4 pickup truck, 250, light duty. And I noticed here lately my power window on my driver's side is intermittent coming up and down.
Uh-huh.
Is that something that I could fix just going with reverse engineering, testing the switch, then going to the relay and
Right.
then to the motor?
Yeah, Ron, the biggest thing is, of course, getting it to act up. I don't want you to test it and it have power, and of course it's operating, so that would be kind of difficult. Is there, when it does act up to where it won't go up, does it do it for a period of time, or?
Yeah, just for a short period,
Okay.
John Ron, it'll do it, and then it seems like it clears up, and then it works fine.
Right.
Now,
Well,
I did notice when it started doing it, I messed up, and I have done this throughout the years,
mhm.
is to leave the windows down, and sometimes it has rained inside that area. But this, when it started, it hadn't rained, but I just wondered if that humidity had gotten seeped into it somehow.
Yeah,
or-
now that's always a possibility. One thing that, of course, you probably know, but if you take that switch out of the door panel there, you could see if there was moisture, and you'd see a little corrosion on the circuit board and all that if that's the case. Ron, can we put you on the hold
Right.
through the break?
Yeah.
All right.
Welcome back to the CNC Auto Show. And John Ryan, another thing that breaks people down,
Yeah.
pretty common, is those flat tires.
Yeah, that's for sure.
Yeah. And it used to be people would change their flat tire.
Nope.
Now, normally people call somebody for a flat tire.
They do. They
But
do.
luckily, you don't run into as many as you used to.
No, you really don't. That's true.
Yeah. I don't think I would want to change a tire on the side road either.
I would if I had to, but I wouldn't want to.
Yeah, it wouldn't be, especially on a hot day. I've did it before now.
Yep.
Like on a hot day, but not something I like. Mention one other thing. We hadn't covered any of our weird stories, so I'm going to say one
Okay.
before we go to our callers. In certain areas of Minnesota, mothers with a baby on board get to use these carpool lanes, the high vehicle occupancy lanes.
Right.
And one of these mothers was recently pulled over by a state trooper because something just didn't look right. Mm-hmm. There was a baby on board stickers and different things that kind of made it real obvious that something was weird.
Right.
Well, it wasn't just right. As it turns out, the beautiful baby that was carefully strapped in was made of plastic.
Oh, wow.
I'm not sure if the fake mother used plastic to pay the $186 fine or not.
Yeah.
But
Wow.
the trooper didn't fall for it. Where are we going?
All right, let's go back to Ron.
I think that's perfect. Hey, Ron,
Yay!
the mother got stumped there or caught, didn't she?
It's amazing what people will do just to get out of any kind of inconvenience.
Well, how long has she?
but,
She's probably been doing that a long time. She
That
just
baby had
finally-
like 15 first-year birthdays.
Yeah, she bought that baby
they-
5 years ago.
They've done that in New York City. I've heard of people having blow-up dolls in the passenger seat so they could get into the lane.
Yeah,
Wow.
It's ridiculous.
it is.
Ron, we were talking about your window intermittently working. One thing I was going to mention, the one thing I do like about vehicles of that era are you can do a lot of the testing from the switch itself. You don't have to take the door panel off. You don't have to go out to the fuse. Now, no doubt it would be very helpful if you had the wiring diagram so that you know where the power comes to the master switch and then where it goes out to the motor itself. That's typically how a technician would do it. They would pop that switch loose, make sure there's power coming in it, because of course that would be very important for it to work. Typically, if there wasn't power going to it, the other window wouldn't work. So we're going to kind of rule that out at the time for the time being. So what you would do is you'd either a test light or a meter or whatever you got. You want to make sure it's got 12 volts, going in the up position, and of course switching the polarity 12 volts in the down position. If you had a full 12 volts there going straight to the motor, of course, it's a possibility the motor's bad. You've probably had experience where, some days an electric motor works and some days it doesn't, just depending on where that armature falls. Then from there, you could also do Aaron's test that he's pretty famous for. What do you call it, Aaron? The WAP test?
The WAP test, yeah.
That's when you just beat on it.
You can wrap it or whop it, whichever one you want to do.
And two, Ron, if you held that switch for, say, 10 seconds or so, and it was applying power to it, you're going to feel a little heat in that motor, because, of course, it's not turning, so it's going to build up a decent amount of heat. But that's the most important thing, having the diagram to figure out, where the power's coming and where it's going to.
Right. That makes sense. Well, I'll try that then. I'll test out that switch and see if it's just in a switch problem or maybe it's something a little deeper. Being
Ron,
a 97, it's got a little age on it, so you reckon there's a possibility it could be the motor?
It definitely could. The only other question I was going to ask you is, does the window, when it does operate, is it slower than what you feel like it was at one time, or does it operate pretty fast?
No, not really.
Okay.
It's pretty active, when it goes up and down. When it's working fine.
Right. Again, the wiring testing is going to tell you everything, because there could be a broke ground wire in the door jamb, where the umbilical cord is, as far as, going in and out of the door. But more commonly, I would say window motor itself. They just get tired, and when that armature falls on that one bad spot, it just won't start up again.
I got you.
You hit a bump or something like that, it jars it enough, and then it works.
And Ron, what I thought about that, and I believe what I would recommend is doing the WAP, not the WOMP.
Well, I was always a WAP kind of guy,
Yeah.
and I'll try the WAP. That just way, I'll cover both bases.
Sounds good. That'll work.
Tell as far as a tip on maintenance of your vehicle, keeping it running fine, and we're living in this fast-paced world today.
Yes.
Nobody's got time to go out and do their own oil, do their own brakes like we used to. Get a relationship with a good garage in your area that you can trust, and take your work to them. And do it. If everything's running fine, at least run it by them once a year while they're doing an oil change or whatever, and have them do a 10-point inspection. Just go through it just to check, make sure the battery's fine, the brake pads are okay. We just years ago we done it ourselves.
Yes.
But you can't. It's just no longer possible to do that.
Well,
and you save money in the long run by going to a decent garage and having them do the work.
Ron, that's a great tip, because I have a friend who's probably listening. He'll probably laugh if he's hearing this. I have a friend that likes to do things himself, but he buys every tool that it takes to complete that job, and he only uses it once. And I've told him 100 times it's just cheaper to bring it, to a shop, let them do it. Now, no doubt he likes the experience and it's prideful and all that, but a lot of times you'll pay more than what it would be for a very good, repair shop to fix it.
Yeah, sometimes, Ron, I've seen people go out and spend hundreds and hundreds of dollars, and in the thousands in some cases, to buy a piece of diagnostic equipment so they could check their car out, when they can rent a technician and a tool for $100.
Well, that's the thing. It's an ongoing conversation he and I have, and a lot of times the tools cost more than what he's actually fixing.
Yeah.
And it's just what he likes to do. But you're right.
Sometimes people just like it. If you do,
no
that's
different
fine.
than gardening or whatever.
Exactly.
So.
And for some people, that's great. But the average person that's running out there today, we're too busy with what's going on in the world today to do that kind of thing. It's just not practical anymore. And to get that relationship with a good garage that you could call them up and say, "Hey, I got this problem." And everyone that I've dealt with, they'll put it on the computer what they've done, when that was changed out.
Yep.
You could, they know your record and they know that vehicle, and you like John, when I say, you save money in the long run.
For
I mean,
sure.
there's no doubt about it. Y'all guys have a great weekend and make her safe.
Thanks.
Thank you, Ron. He's right too, because every time I try to fix my washing machine or dryer, by the time I run back and forth to Lowe's about 44 times, I say, my wife's sitting there saying, "Call the man."
Yeah.
Okay.
All right, let's go back to Barry, Aaron. He called earlier.
Hey, Barry. Oh man, this is great. We're hearing from Barry again.
Yep, we got about 4 minutes before
Hey,
break.
Barry, let us know. Give us an update.
Okay. The throat body was closed. I took the cave off. It's still iron high.
Okay.
And the connections and everything looks good.
Okay.
And you said something about a gasket.
Yes, the gasket between the throttle body and the intake manifold.
Yes, so that was in parts.
So
Yeah.
what was that, Barry? When you took the throttle body off,
that
did the
gasket,
gasket come
it
with
was-
it, or?
No, so that gasket, I reused the same one,
Right.
and it wasn't that good a shape.
It was not. Okay, well, that very well may be the issue.
Yeah, it could be sucking air right there. When this runs, when that tube's on there, does it sound like you can hear a little hissing noise anywhere?
Well, it's out so high.
Hard to tell. I could see why
Right.
you couldn't tell.
Yeah, Barry, if just like Aaron mentioned, if that throttle body gasket has a crack in it or it's not sealing 100%, that's allowing air to go past the throttle body. So say,
Unmetered.
unmetered air. So say the throttle body was completely closed, like 100% closed, and wouldn't allow any air to go past it. Right now, it has air past it because it's sucking behind the throttle body.
Yes, sir.
And
So-
the computer don't know is not measuring that air, so in effect it
Well,
it
that,
don't.
that one's speed density, so it just
Oh,
still be
okay.
like a big vacuum leak.
Oh, okay. So
Yeah.
it's just adding like extra air going
Right.
in there, idling it up. Okay.
So, is that you can go to Auto Part and get that?
Oh,
You
yeah,
have to
yeah,
order it?
definitely. They would have a gasket for that.
Yeah. Very common part.
Okay. I'm gonna replace that then.
Now I know it might be next week, but would you call in and report back and let us know how it did?
Nah, I
Yes,
think you
sir.
can call
It's,
back on the next hour.
Yeah,
He's quick.
You can do it, Barry. Go ahead and get it fixed up and call us back before the show.
Well, I'm not able to work on it this weekend,
Oh.
but I'm going out. Yes, sir. But I will get back to you. on it.
Okay. Sounds good.
All right.
Thank you, Barry.
I appreciate y'all's help and everything y'all do for folks like me.
Well, we appreciate you calling. Great question.
Okay, sir. Y'all have a great day.
And you
too.
do the same. Okay, we are running up on a break time, and so we won't have. We'll be coming back. We'll be talking to Dennis, and Dennis has a '99 F-150 work truck that he has a little squeaky noise. So we'll be covering that when we get back, and plus we'll be talking about common breakdown items and just answering a lot of other questions, giving some other tips. So stay tuned to the CNC Auto Show. We are back with you on the CNC Auto Show. Another common item that causes cars to break down would be
Starter.
a starter.
Yeah, for sure.
And usually those are not a problem where they break down on the side of the road.
That's the good part.
Usually you get the shopping center. Sometimes you might.
Well, first it's got to rain first.
Yeah, they do seem to be worse. It happens more when it rains.
It really is. So
Yeah. Okay. Are we ready to go to the calls?
yeah, let's go straight over to Dennis.
Hey, Dennis, welcome to the CNC Auto Show, and we hear that you have a squeaking 99 F-150. So what can we help with on that one?
Yes, sir, guys. I appreciate it. Y'all do a lot of good service for everyone. Hey, I just received this truck from a family member, and it's a one-owner truck. They've had it since it was brand new.
Mhm.
And it hasn't been abused, but then again, maintenance hasn't been done to it either. And it was used every once in a while. But the squeaking in the front end, and people tell me, oh, it's the tie rods and it's the bushings and blah, blah. And then others say, and I just had a friend replace the whole front end, same year model, replaced the bushings, tie rod, everything. And his still squeaks. A little bit, not as bad, but still squeaks. And everybody says, not everyone, but a lot of people say, well, that's their year model truck. I refuse to believe that.
Mm-hmm.
I believe in maintenance. So I drive heavy equipment, and it stays on dirt and sand and dust a lot. So one day I was sitting in the truck cooling down and thought, let me see if I can pour some hydraulic fluid over the springs and everything and see if that'll lube it up and stop it for a while. Well, it did.
Uh-huh.
It stopped it, actually, for a couple days. But it's back. Now, during y'all's last session, talking to the last guy, I got up underneath there and looked, and there is a and I'm just a backyard do it yourself every once in a while mechanic. If I can't fix it, I bring it to y'all. But in the front there is a bar that comes from the tie rod or around the tie rod. It actually goes over the tie rod and goes to the front, goes through a bracket.
Yeah, that's the sway bar.
Down the other side.
Yeah, those things will run you crazy too when they start squeaking.
Are the bushings gone?
Is it? Well, there's a 6-inch screw. There's a 6-inch bolt in it, and there's nothing in between it.
Yeah, that's what happens. Those bushings actually wear. They're just 2 rubber bushings. Actually, there's 4 per side. There's a upper and a lower, and then an upper and a lower where it contacts the sway bar. And what happens is the bushings fall out, and then it looks like somebody didn't put it back together, or it looks like just the bolt's loose. And what it is, the rubber bushings are completely gone, so it just looks like a bolt just kind of dangling in there, doesn't it?
Exactly.
Yeah, and they'll rattle a lot, but also the ones that squeak the most, and some of them even make a little bit of a clunky noise on some vehicles.
The ball joint style.
No, it's the bushings that are on the frame itself.
Right.
That bar goes through 2 bushings on the frame.
Especially if the gearbox leaks, the driver's side, it gets almost, what's the right word? Swells the bushing.
Mushy.
Yeah, mushy. Well, I don't know about that one, but it swells the bushing to the point to where it's just useless, and it'll cause some knocking type, like you said, a hollow sound.
Yeah. But what you did was something that I've done many times before, Dennis, when I'm tracing down a noise. Only I'll kind of isolate where I put it. If I'm, we have listening devices, so we can kind of fine tune it a little bit faster than just listening to it.
Right.
But if I suspect it's coming from a spot, I'll either WD-40 or either a little some kind of fluid.
Right.
And if it goes away in that one little isolated area, I know that's it.
That's the trick, because you don't want to lube everything and then see if it's gone, because, of course, you never isolate it. You just lubed everything. So do it kind of one by one. But what you said is, just what we do. We don't use hydraulic oil, but it would definitely work.
Well, that's the only thing I had available at the time.
It worked, didn't it?
Over there, and I said, hey, that might work.
What you should do is fill up your washer fluid reservoir with hydraulic oil, and then put the nozzles over the spring.
Man.
Yeah, put the nozzles over the springs.
I love that.
All you have to do is just hit it. You're good to go.
And we will patent. John Ryan can patent that.
Yep.
JR self-lubricator.
Well, in high school, we did that, but we put them on the rear tires, put transmission fluid so you could burn out from here to the lake.
Oh, that's a great idea.
Yeah, it worked good. White smoke, too.
Hey, guys, I really appreciate it. I will do it. I'll do a little bit at a time. I isolate the problem.
There you go, Dennis.
I think you're on it, though. That sway bar can make a lot of noise.
A lot of racket,
You might be on its trail.
Okay, all right, guys. Thanks for all that you do. We appreciate it.
Well,
Thanks.
We thank you for the call. And we are ready for another call. And the number to call is 706-863-5800, 805 to 10 Eastern Time. And John Ryan, who will we be talking to?
Let's go straight to William, man.
Hey, William, welcome to the CNC Auto Show. And hold on, I think you have I got it. An 06 Chevrolet Trailblazer. And you have an idling problem and an AC problem. All right. Am I right?
Yeah, right.
Oh, man, fantastic, William. Okay, what can we help you with on those? What's the details in there?
Well, he wants it fixed.
He wants it repaired.
I had a problem with the thermostat went out, and I replaced the thermostat, and the temperature started back up about 200 where it's supposed to be, and everything's fine. And then about a week later, every time I take my foot off the gas, the idle drops down about 5,000. 500. Anyways, halfway between 0 and 1.
There you go.
That'll work.
It says RPM times 1,000. I don't know.
That's right. You're saying it right.
But the motor sounds like it's bogging, and the air conditioner just absolutely stops putting out cold air. I figured it's probably because it's idling so slow.
Right.
But if I put my foot on the gas and kick it up above that number 1, then it will cool down a little bit.
Right.
But the big problem is, why is it idling so low?
William, when you did the thermostat, did you disconnect the battery or the ECM over there? Did you do it yourself or have a facility do it?
There was a mechanic did it.
Okay. A lot of times where that thermostat's located, it's located on the driver's side, very, very low on the engine. The car's computer, the car's computer's in the way. What's that?
Yeah.
Yeah, a lot of times the computer is unplugged, which isn't a big deal. It's just it loses its idle strategy. So that's the reason it keeps idling low and wanting to shut off. And the car's computer is smart enough to know that if it's below about 750, 800, that it cuts the AC off because it's just more of a load on the engine. So that's the AC problem and the idle problem. What a technician would do is clean the throttle body. There's multiple ways to do it. The way we like to do it is through a BG induction service. There's a chemical that fogs in front of the throttle body and removes all the carbon. And then basically you can do two ways. You can disconnect the battery so that it relearns the idle. It's forced to, because of course now the throttle body's clean, and you put the battery back on and let it idle. It'll kind of work its way out. And of course, if a technician has the scan tool, they can actually force the idle learn through a procedure in the scan tool. And but the problem you have is actually an easy problem to fix. There's nothing necessarily wrong with the vehicle.
And William, you are right. When the computer senses the RPM is a certain point as far as being low, it will cut the compressor off, so you won't get cold air until you have good idle.
Okay, well, thank you very much. I really appreciate it.
Yeah.
Great question. We appreciate that call too.
Okay, like listening to you on Saturday morning. You help an awful lot of people.
We like you calling.
Not just the lucky ones like me that call in and get an answer.
Well, we appreciate
the ones listening that might have the same problem down the road.
That's what makes it worthwhile. We sure do appreciate it. Okay, the time clock's on E. We need to pull over for now, but we'll be back on the road in no time. I'm Aaron Clements with co-host John Ryan Mooney. Our show producers are Zach Llewell and Bo Roberts, Dominic Frito, and Sandy Klein. And we would all like to say thank you to all of you that tuned in, logged in, and especially those that called in to ride with us on the CNC Auto Show.